Today we will explore some of the world's poorest countries, delving into the challenges they face and the factors contributing to their economic struggles. These nations grapple with extreme poverty, political instability, and lack of infrastructure, making it difficult for their populations to improve their living conditions. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any future videos. Alright, let's get started. Number 1. Burundi. Burundi, a small landlocked country in East Africa, is currently the poorest nation in the world with a GDP per capita of around $800. The country has a population of approximately 13 million people, most of whom rely on subsistence agriculture for survival. However, limited arable land, deforestation, and soil erosion make farming unsustainable for many. Burundi has struggled with political instability, ethnic conflicts, and civil war since gaining independence from Belgium in 1962. Corruption, poor governance, and lack of infrastructure have severely hindered economic growth. Around 80% of the population lives in poverty, and over 50% suffer from food insecurity. The country also has one of the lowest urbanization rates in the world, with most people living in rural areas with little access to clean water, healthcare, and education. The average income per person is less than $2 per day, making it difficult for families to afford basic necessities. International aid plays a crucial role in sustaining the country, but long-term economic progress remains slow due to political instability and lack of investment. Without significant reforms, Burundi is likely to remain one of the world's poorest nations for years to come.
Number 2. South Sudan. South Sudan, the world's youngest nation, is also the poorest, with extreme poverty affecting a vast majority of its population. As of recent estimates, the country has a population of about 11 million people, with over 80% living in poverty. Most South Sudanese survive on subsistence farming and humanitarian aid due to the prolonged civil war, political instability, and economic collapse. The country's gross national income per capita is around $500, making it one of the lowest globally. Unemployment is rampant, and many people lack access to basic necessities such as clean water, healthcare, and education. Inflation, currency depreciation, and food shortages further worsen living conditions. South Sudan's economy heavily depends on oil exports, which account for nearly 90% of government revenue, but corruption, mismanagement, and conflict hinder economic growth. Additionally, ongoing ethnic tensions and climate-related disasters, such as floods and droughts, exacerbate poverty and displacement. Despite peace agreements, stability remains fragile, and millions remain in need of humanitarian aid. To overcome extreme poverty, South Sudan requires long-term investments in infrastructure, education, and governance reforms to create sustainable economic opportunities and improve living conditions for its people. Number 3. The Central African Republic. The Central African Republic is one of the world's poorest countries, struggling with economic instability, conflict, and underdevelopment. With a population of around 5.5 million, most people live in rural areas and depend on subsistence agriculture. The country has faced years of political turmoil, armed conflicts, and weak governance, which have severely hampered economic growth. CAR's GDP per capita is extremely low, estimated at around $500 per year, making it one of the lowest in the world. More than 70% of the population lives below the poverty line, lacking access to basic services like clean water, healthcare, and education. The economy relies heavily on agriculture, timber, and diamonds, but corruption and instability prevent sustainable development. The country also suffers from a high unemployment rate and limited industrialization. Poor infrastructure, low literacy rates, and food insecurity further worsen living conditions. The humanitarian crisis is severe, with many people displaced due to violence and ongoing conflicts between armed groups. Despite international aid, economic progress remains slow. Stability, improved governance, and investment in education and infrastructure are crucial for CAR to escape extreme poverty.
Number 4. The Democratic Republic of the Congo. The Democratic Republic of the Congo, often referred to as the DRC, is frequently ranked among the world's poorest countries despite its vast natural resources. With a population of approximately 100 million people, the DRC faces extreme poverty, political instability, and economic challenges. The country's gross domestic product per capita is extremely low, averaging around $500 to $600 per year, making it one of the poorest in the world. Over 60% of the population lives on less than $2.15 per day, according to World Bank estimates. Poverty is widespread, particularly in rural areas where access to education, healthcare, and infrastructure remains limited. Despite having immense mineral wealth, including copper, cobalt, and diamonds, the country suffers from corruption, conflict, and weak governance, which hinder economic development. Armed groups control many mining regions, preventing wealth from benefiting the broader population. Additionally, instability, including ongoing conflicts and displacement, further worsens living conditions. The DRC's economic potential is significant, but political reforms, security improvements, and better resource management are needed to lift its people out of poverty. While some progress has been made in recent years, the country still faces a long road towards sustainable development and poverty reduction. Number 5. Mozambique. Mozambique, located in southeastern Africa, is one of the world's poorest countries, struggling with economic instability, poverty, and underdevelopment. The nation has a population of approximately 32 million people, with a majority living in rural areas. Despite its rich natural resources, including gas reserves and fertile land, Mozambique faces significant economic challenges, including corruption, weak infrastructure, and frequent climate disasters like cyclones and droughts. The average income, or GDP per capita, is among the lowest globally, at around $500 to $600 per year. Over 60% of the population lives below the poverty line, with limited access to education, healthcare, and clean water. Agriculture remains the main source of livelihood, but productivity is low due to outdated farming techniques and lack of investment. Decades of civil war from 1977 to 1992 and ongoing insurgencies in the northern region have further hindered progress. While foreign aid and investments in natural gas projects offer some hope for economic growth, the benefits have yet to reach most citizens. Mozambique's government continues to struggle with debt, inflation, and unemployment, keeping many in extreme poverty. Addressing these challenges requires structural reforms, better governance, and investment in human development. Number 6. Madagascar. Madagascar, an island nation off the southeastern coast of Africa, is one of the poorest countries in the world. With a population of approximately 29 million people, most of whom rely on agriculture for survival, the country faces extreme poverty. Over 70% of the population lives below the poverty line, surviving on less than $2 per day. The country's GDP per capita is around $500, one of the lowest globally. The economy of Madagascar struggles due to political instability, poor infrastructure, and vulnerability to natural disasters such as cyclones and droughts. Agriculture, mainly subsistence farming, employs about 80% of the population, but frequent climate shocks threaten food security. Deforestation and environmental degradation further impact livelihoods. Despite its rich biodiversity and natural resources, Madagascar has limited industrial development and foreign investment. Access to education, healthcare, and clean water is inadequate, contributing to poor living conditions. Malnutrition and preventable diseases remain widespread, affecting children the most. While international aid plays a role in supporting Madagascar, long-term economic growth requires political stability, investment in infrastructure, and education reforms. Without significant change, poverty will continue to hinder the country's development and quality of life for its people. Number 7. Sierra Leone. Sierra Leone, located on West Africa's southwest coast, is among the world's poorest nations. As of 2023, it has an estimated population of approximately 8.9 million people. The country's economy is heavily reliant on agriculture, which employs a significant portion of the population. Despite its rich natural resources, including diamonds, gold, and bauxite, Sierra Leone faces substantial economic challenges. As of 2024, the gross domestic product, or GDP per capita, is estimated at $856, placing it among the lowest globally. Poverty remains widespread, with approximately 60% of the rural population living below the poverty line. The country also grapples with high unemployment rates, particularly among youth, and limited access to basic services such as education and healthcare. These factors contribute to Sierra Leone's status as one of the poorest countries worldwide.
Number 8. Afghanistan. As of 2024, Afghanistan remains one of the world's poorest countries, grappling with significant economic challenges. The nation's gross domestic product, or GDP per capita, is estimated at approximately $379.71, which is about 3% of the global average. In terms of population, Afghanistan's estimated population in 2024 is 43,372,950, reflecting a 2.68% increase from the previous year. The country's economic difficulties are exacerbated by ongoing political instability, security concerns, and a reliance on foreign aid. The informal economy, which accounts for a substantial portion of economic activity, further complicates accurate assessments of economic well-being. These economic challenges have profound implications for the Afghan population, contributing to widespread poverty and limited access to essential services. Addressing these issues requires comprehensive strategies that encompass political stability, economic diversification, and international support.
Number 9. Niger. Niger, a landlocked country in West Africa, is among the world's poorest nations. As of 2024, its estimated population is approximately 28.2 million people. In 2024, Niger's gross domestic product, GDP, per capita is estimated at $697.97, reflecting a modest increase from previous years. This figure places Niger among the lowest globally, indicating significant economic challenges. The country's economy is primarily agrarian, with agriculture employing a substantial portion of the population. Despite recent growth projections, including a 5.7% increase in 2024, Niger's economic development is constrained by factors such as political instability, limited infrastructure, and vulnerability to climate change. In summary, Niger's 2024 population is estimated at 28.2 million, with a GDP per capita of $697.97, underscoring its status as one of the world's poorest countries. Addressing its economic challenges requires comprehensive strategies to enhance infrastructure, political stability, and resilience to environmental factors.
And finally, Eritrea. Eritrea, located in the Horn of Africa, is among the world's poorest nations. As of 2024, its estimated population is approximately 3.8 million people, with a population density of 35 individuals per square kilometer. The country's gross domestic product, GDP per capita, is notably low. In 2024, the International Monetary Fund, IMF, reported that Eritrea's GDP per capita was $765, placing it among the lowest globally. Personal income levels in Eritrea are similarly modest. The World Bank's data indicates that in 2014, the GDP per capita was $590, reflecting the nation's economic challenges. These economic indicators highlight the significant poverty levels in Eritrea, underscoring the need for comprehensive development strategies to improve living standards and economic conditions for its population.
Conclusion: the struggles of the poorest countries. The 10 poorest countries, Burundi, South Sudan, the Central African Republic, the Democratic Republic of the Congo, Mozambique, Madagascar, Sierra Leone, Afghanistan, Niger, and Eritrea, face immense daily hardships. The people in these nations endure extreme poverty, lack of basic necessities such as food, clean water, and healthcare, and often live in dangerous, unstable environments. Political instability, corruption, armed conflicts, and climate challenges contribute to their suffering, making it difficult for many to break the cycle of poverty. Daily life is characterized by limited access to education, poor healthcare systems, food insecurity, and widespread malnutrition. In some regions, people face the constant threat of violent conflicts or natural disasters, which further devastate communities already struggling to survive. Without proper infrastructure, people have limited opportunities for improving their lives, often relying on subsistence agriculture or small informal economies to get by.
International aid remains crucial in providing immediate relief, such as food, healthcare, and education. However, long-term solutions should focus on promoting political stability, investing in infrastructure, fostering economic development, and supporting sustainable farming practices. Strengthening local governance, ensuring peace-building initiatives, and empowering youth with education and skills are vital steps toward breaking the cycle of poverty. Global collaboration, along with investment in health and education, can help provide the necessary foundation for these countries to rise from poverty in the future. That's all for today. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel. Your support means a lot.